Good morning, everyone. Still morning, I think. Um, it's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Josh Kiernan. I'm head of the Israel office of the global law firm Latham Watkins. Uh, Interviewing today Nadav Zafrir, who needs no introduction. But for those of you who do not live on this planet, I'll say a few words about Nadav. I met Nadav a number of years ago and watched his meteoric rise from head of the legendary 8200 unit to founding Team 8, which is, disrupted the financing of cyber and fintech companies, and now CEO of Checkpoint, which is the largest publicly traded Israeli company on NASDAQ. So with that introduction, we can get right into it. Oh, sorry, I gotta get my questions out. Nadav, anything you want to add to this introduction?
No, I just very comfy. It's more comfortable than it looks. That's what I can tell you so far.
So Nadav, as Checkpoint's first new CEO in 32 years, you've inherited a legacy of defending enterprises against evolving threats. With AI now accelerating both attacks and defenses, how do you rebalance Checkpoint's DNA of proactive security in this new area?
Oh, thanks. So, in fact, I think Checkpoint is in a well-poised in what's happening in the world right now. Because, obviously all of us are talking about this new dimension, this new era that we've just walked into, artificial intelligence. Checkpoint, in many ways, I believe, has the opportunity to reimagine and change the cyber industry again. And its DNA, I actually think, is well poised for that for a number of reasons. Number one is that the Checkpoint ethos has always been about prevention. Prevention has just become so much more sexy than it was. If you look at the MITRE sort of framework of cybersecurity and defense in depth, you start by prevention and then you go from there. And one of the things that we've always been speaking about for the last 20 years, I guess, is that breach is inevitable. And so a lot of effort goes into detection and response. Detection and response in the AI era, I think, becomes less relevant. Putting Checkpoint in a favorable position in my humble opinion. That's number one. Number two, AI is all about data, and Checkpoint as an incumbent has been around for 32 years. If it was a bank, 32 years is like 300 years. We've been around since the dawn of the internet, literally invented this industry, but 32 years and about 100,000 customers means that we've seen every mutation, every permutation, and we have more data on cyber than any other company in the world right now. And when you put these two things together, the prevention ethos and the fact that we have a global footprint of tens of thousands of customers and 32 years of data, puts us in a really good springboard for the future.
Excellent. So you've emphasized, quote unquote, brutal honesty about security gaps. What do you mean by that?
So, when I speak to leaders about cybersecurity, and I think for the last decade at least, cybersecurity is top of mind for leadership, not just for IT practitioners or for chief security officers. It's sort of a risk that you have to manage. The trick is that for most CEOs, CFOs, chief risk officers, it's a very technical risk, and it's hard to sort of fathom how you reconcile the threat and the fact that you need to adopt new technologies really, really fast, etc. It's a threat that's very difficult to sort of transfer the risk by insurance, because insurance in this industry is very nascent and not complete. And so the first advice that I give them is eyes wide open. If you don't address the real threat and don't dive deep into it and actually acknowledge it, it's very, very difficult to manage. And so brutal honesty means that you literally have to understand what is the risk and manage it just like every other business risk. And I think for the last, I would say, 10 years at least, I think most leaders understand that. and it's front and center at the board, it's front and center at the C-suite. But beyond that, brutal honesty for me is not just around how you manage cybersecurity, but generally speaking, I think in today's world, especially as we're entering this unprecedented time of change, a time of change that, in my opinion, the hardest thing to do is not to adopt new technologies, but try to imagine the future. I think as humans, we have a limitation of imagination when it comes to something so transformative as what's happening right now in the AI era. Brutal honesty for me means that you're constantly telling yourself the truth, even if it's difficult, even if it's bitter, and trying to assess the situation with your eyes wide open. Very simple.
Excellent. I'm just going to go a little off-piste here. A question for you. You hear a lot of people saying, you know, cybersecurity companies are very safe because, you know, in IT departments, it's like, even in a bad economy, it's like the last piece of the budget they'll ever cut. Is that a true statement?
So, generally speaking, software and cyber within software has been insulated from hiccups in the economy, if you look back. But I don't think it's going to look like that in the future. I think if we would sort of do an exercise, we are now in 2025, let's say that we were here in the Harrods in 2020, and I'd say, Josh, let's have an experiment. One of us will get into a time machine, travel to 2025, spend about 60 minutes in 2025, gather as much information as you can about what has changed in the world in the next 5 years, specifically in cybersecurity, and come back to 2020 and tell us what you've seen. Generally speaking, you would say, look, I mean, the world has changed. There's this, you know, AI has become a very real thing. This new thing, ChatGPT, everybody's talking about LLMs, etc. But as far as cybersecurity goes, you come back from 2025 to 2020, it's pretty much the same. I think if you do the same exercise right now, one of us goes to 2030, comes back here, the first thing you will say is, oh my God, nothing is the same. Which means that I think cybersecurity incumbents are far from being safe. The way we consume technology, the way IT infrastructure is designed is changing. And again, I think that none of us has the ability to understand how it's going to change. And so we're going to have to make bets, and more than one path. And make dramatic investments in this future. Obviously, it's a great opportunity, but it's also time for disruption.
Great response, and it sort of ties into my next question, which is that, you know, Israel's cybersecurity ecosystem depends on, you know, close collaboration between the military, industry, VCs, startups, and as Teammate co-founder, how will your VC lens shape Checkpoint's approach to acquiring and building AI native tools, and looking ahead to, you know, like you said, to 2030? And I note your recent announcement that you're building a new campus and hiring 500 new employees, which is amazing.
I don't want to be pretentious, but I think that we couldn't be in a better place in the world to redefine the cybersecurity industry. The Israeli ecosystem is not only vibrant, we also have second, third times entrepreneurs building new companies. It's a very mature industry. The interconnection, the synergy between what happens in the VC worlds, in the global companies that are here in Israel, the leaders in the industry such as Checkpoint, and the interaction in between is just incredible. And so for us at Checkpoint, you know, we couldn't be more excited about the opportunities in the future and where we are right now. We just yesterday announced that we're going on a hiring spree. We're going to hire 500 new talents within a year. Predominantly in AI, predominantly in cyber. So that's the growth that we're going to do from within. And like you said, we also announced that to get ready for that future, we're building our new infrastructure. And so we're also investing in our physical infrastructure, in our human infrastructure, making vast investments to reinvent cyber from here. Specifically on acquiring an M&A, it's obviously something that the company has done in the past, and we're going to do this in the future. For us, it's North Star vision, strategy, and the acquisitions will be there to augment our strategy. So I don't think we're about strategizing through acquisitions, but having a very clear strategy, and the acquisitions are always there to accelerate, to innovate, to infuse new talent to the company. And when I look back at what happened in the last few years, let's say 3-4 years, especially the crazy year of 2021, 2022, there are incredible opportunities for us, and we're definitely going to use the acquisition option as we accelerate our growth.
That's great. Would you hire someone with a law degree to be an AI engineer?
You know, we always need people to look at governance. So the answer is yes. Look, everything is changing. It's mind-boggling. Every day we wake up, and by the end of the day, we've seen something that was unimaginable a couple of years ago, sometimes a couple of months ago. And so I have to say that I've never been so excited, and I've never been so scared at what's happening in the world right now. And so, but everything is changing. So, developers are no longer the same developers. Lawyers are no longer the same lawyers. Managers are no longer the same managers. One thing that I'm excited about, and we are in Eilat, in Herod's, in Israel. One thing that excites me is that I think that the world we're walking into is kind of scary, but the way we are wired, the way we live, our culture, the interaction between what we have to do because of the circumstances of our lives here in the military, etc., make us very agile and adaptive, and that's what it's all about. And even going forward, at least in the foreseeable future, I think that critical decision making and creativity, entrepreneurship, risk-taking is still going to be done by humans, and I think we have some of the best humans on the planet to do that. Hence, we are doubling down here and continue to build our future here.
That's great. So my final question is, with platforms like yours now managing machine identities, how do you prevent AI-driven authentication from becoming the next zero-day vulnerability frontier?
Yeah, look, generally speaking, what we're seeing in our research at Checkpoint, and we also announced we're starting our own AI cybersecurity research center that's going to be global, working not just with checkpointers, but also with the academia, with other companies, with industries, with governments. What we're seeing is a very, very rapid change from the attacker's perspective, generally speaking. If I'd have to say two things that are changing, which are fundamental changes in cybersecurity, number one is the speed. Once there's a breach, it's in many ways game over. And in many ways, orchestration, SOC, SOAR, SIMs may become historians of cybersecurity rather practitioners. And that's one thing that's changing extremely fast. And the other thing that's changing extremely fast is that when there is a breach, we always look back and say, okay, so what did we do wrong? We just ran an exercise a couple of months ago where we took together all the latest and greatest tools and invented our own path into a network just to check what it looks like, just as an exercise. And the fact of the matter is not just the speed, but rather that when you look back and debrief, security was perfect. Security was 100%, there was no hygiene problems, everything was patched, except that AI is so good at mimicking real individuals that the AI was able to take over a persona with privileged access in the organization and did everything that that person would do. Everything went perfect, and still there was a major breach. So these things are changing extremely fast, and we have to look at the big picture. Specifically on machine identities, it's all about investing in very short TTLs. So we have to constantly manage identities and TTLs. The time that we allow them to exist has to be minimal. The good news, and maybe we can sign off with some optimism, is that AI is really good at defense, not just at offense. In fact, for the first time in cybersecurity history, I think that there is a chance to break the sort of asymmetry between offense and defense. We always talk about it as an unlevel playing field where the attackers have an advantage because they only have to get it right once, we have to get it right all the time, etc. That is changing because AI and specifically LLMs are going to be incredibly efficient in getting it right all the time. And so it goes both ways. It's just going to look very, very different. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think we have what it takes. We're going to try different paths because we don't know exactly what will emerge. But I think we have the resources, we have the vision, we have the strategy. And again, more than anything else, we have the existing talent, and we're adding many more talented individuals to do this.
That's great. Well, I'll close by saying that, you know, as you noted, you know, the future is both exciting and a bit scary. And I think it makes me, and I think everyone here, you know, feel comfortable that, you know, we have someone of your caliber looking out for us, looking into the future, and also doing great things for Israel. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That is the pressure, and I think that we're the only ones between you and the pool. So thank you very much for staying with us.
Thank you, everyone.